So, today we're going to be taking apart this computer. We're going to be repasting the graphics card and the processor. It's going to be a two-part video. We're going to do the graphics card in the second video, and today we're going to take everything apart and repaste the CPU. So first things first, we should probably take the graphics card out. It'll give us more room. And this one is a Radeon 6700 XT, and it's got two connectors up here. So there's one. Here is the second one. Never forget your screws over here. I've done that before. Kind of sucks when you try to take it out of there and you're missing you're still attached by screws. This motherboard has a little bit more difficult of a system to open up the PCI things. I don't think you can see it on the camera. Basically, I'm just pushing down this lever like that to open it up. It's open there. Now, gently take this out of there. This is what it looks like. On both sides. Pretty great graphics card. I like it. Just set this over there. It is highly recommended that you wear an anti-static wrist strap when you do this as well. So this cooler here is the MSI K360 cooler. It's got this little LCD here and fan assembly. This is just magnetically attached here. You can take it out of there pretty easily. And then the screws are down here. There's 4 of them. We're going to take those out now. You can take them out by hand if you've got it loose enough, but it's easy enough for me just to use a screwdriver. This one was kind of a mess to cable manage as well, because all of the fans for it and the pump connect to it back here. So there is a lot of cables coming out of this thing, as you can see. So it's kind of difficult to cable manage. That would be my only complaint about it. Other than that, it's an amazing cooler. It does its job well. The fan on here is also to cool the power delivery system. It helps a lot with that. Especially if your motherboard isn't liquid cooled as well, which most of them are not. So that can help a lot. So, if your cooler doesn't come up very easily, you don't want to pull on it really hard. Mine came up really easily, but if yours doesn't, don't pull up on it really hard, because you can damage the CPU. You want to just gently work at it until it lifts up. Otherwise, you could break something. I am attached to something under here. Hook down the cooler over here. There we go. So now that's what it looks like on the underside here. So we're going to use alcohol and Q-tips to remove this, and I recommend 90% or above isopropyl alcohol, just so you know everything's going to evaporate well. I'm going to just scoop this off here. There's quite a bit on there, but it's not too bad. Oop, I've already gotten it on me. You might want to use an old rag or a Kleenex too. That's a lot faster. I don't have one right now. Otherwise, I probably would use it. That was me hinting to my cameraman to go grab one. The cameraman got the hint after several head nods. Here. You kind of want to push inward when you wipe this off too, otherwise you just get it everywhere. There you go. Can I have another one of those here? So now we're going to clean the cooler off with some alcohol. Then I'll move to the processor. And today we're going to be using Cryonaut by Thermal Grizzly, which seems to be pretty great. We love their Hydronaut. That did an amazing job. But I got antsy and I got some new Cryonaut, so figured why not use it. It comes off just like that, nice and easy with the alcohol. And you see how it dried off there? Might not have seen it, but it was instant. No waiting around, nothing, just right away. So we're going to move on to the processor. And I'm using a 11400K, I believe, or no, 11400F. This is not the graphics model. It doesn't have any built-in or dedicated graphics at all. I'm just going to use a Q-tip on the processor. It feels more precise to me. There we go, it's mostly cleaned off now. Make sure my fingers are clean now so I don't keep spreading thermal paste everywhere. Now I'm going to wipe off the processor with a little bit of alcohol. And you don't want to use too much of this stuff because there's no real need to, just a gentle amount. Take your time. Looks pretty clean to me. There we go. So now we're ready for some thermal paste here, but we're also going to install an exhaust fan, which we'll wait until after we're done pasting the CPU here. So I'm going to turn this sideways. Get some of these screws out of here. Oh, and there it went. In the back of the case now. Luckily, we're going to be getting in there soon. So. Just leave it for now. Okay, so this is the Cryonaut stuff we're using here. It's just before liquid metal, which I am not skilled enough for liquid metal, so I'll be staying away from that for now. They come with these little applicators here that I'm trying to grab. So it has this cap here. Just unscrew that. And you grab your little applicator. Looks like this. This isn't hard plastic either, by the way. It's really, really soft. Just stick it on there. think. I remember it being tight. There it goes. So you just press really hard on it and you tighten it down. There we go. Now I'm just gonna, oh wow, that's really, I did not put that on there right. Okay, so then you just squeeze it out and you kind of use it, so like it'll come out here and then you kind of use this like a trowel. Spread it about. Would this be better if I twisted it the other way? Can you see the CPU?
Yeah, but it'd be better if you brought it a little closer.
Like that?
Yeah, and then let me turn this a little bit. There, but now your hand's in the way. There
It's
you go.
going to be in the way when I'm down here anyway.
Good point.
So, what I'm going to do, I'll demonstrate without my hands in there first so you can kind of see it. I'm just going to start over here, and I'll go along it like this until I got it pretty evenly spread across. But if you were not to use a spreader, you just put one bead in the center, about pea size.
Use your left hand to show what you're pointing at.
About pea size in the center. And then you just squish it down there. But with the applicator, you can kind of just spread it out evenly. So I'm going to do that now. Ooh, this stuff's way liquidier than the other stuff. Much less of this. So we've got it all thermal paste now. So what I like to do is I keep the thermal paste a little ways away from the edge. Just so when I squish the cooler down on it, it has enough room that it's not going to spill over the edges. That's what I like to do, but I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to do it. So now let's try to put the cooler back on correctly. Keep our cables out of the thermal paste. Oops, I think I got something on the screen. So do your best to just push this down on there as straight as possible. It may take a couple tries and probably be fine. But if you're doing a really high performance application, you're probably going to want to repaste it if you have to lift back up on it. I don't know if that's because of air bubbles or what, but I have heard that. I don't know if it's true, but I have heard that it's best to repaste it if you have to lift it up. So now we can start putting these screws back on, and it's best to do it at a star pattern, like you change a tire, so that it evenly distributes the pressure. So put two of them on, but don't crank them all the way down, and then put the other two on. I'm going to start over here. And take care to make sure that you're not cross-threading the screws, because it's difficult to come back from that. Okay, so we've got the cooler back assembled. We're going to put another exhaust fan on here today before we get to the graphics card in part 2. So the way my system works, the airflow, it's coming from the front of the case over here and up right through the radiator, which I know isn't the most efficient design for the processor, but my processor doesn't make the most heat, so it's kind of a trade-off. So today I'm going to be installing an exhaust fan over here to kind of help move that air out, and hopefully it does better for the graphics card. It was running slightly warm, but not really that crazy. There's probably no need to do all this for my system, but I'm going to do it just to squeeze that little bit extra out of it. Okay, I'll see you when we got it all set up. Okay, now we're on the back. I put 2 screws in already just so it would sit there flat. Make sure you know what way your fan is facing before you install it. There should be an arrow on the bottom, like this one had an arrow on it, pointing which direction it spun and which way the air moved out. If yours doesn't, well, you're going to have to do it by trial and error, unless you magically know which way it spins. So yeah, we're going to just screw these in a cross pattern, just like we did the other one. So you don't have to get these screws very tight, just hand tight. Just so you know they won't spin out from any vibration or anything. There we go. So we got these in. Now, I'm going to lay this down again. And I'll see you once we got it over here. I'll show you where to put. Well, actually, no, we can show you the back here. These cables are hideous, but we're going to have to live with them for now. First of all, let's move our. So, this is what the. I don't know if you can see this at all.
Wait.
Maybe. This is what your RGB header looks like. This is what you plug into your RGB port to get the right colors through it. That's what you plug into your RGB port. This one had a cable tie on it, but I'm going to be throwing it through the back, so we got to take that off. Hold on just a second. So if I remember right, it's supposed to go through the top, which might prove difficult. Maybe.
Might prove difficult, huh?
Yeah, okay, there we go. Let's just quickly shove this around here. I have a difficult time cable managing this. We're going to have to zip tie it to here later. Maybe. Okay. Now let me just spin this around for you. This is a very heavy computer. Okay. So this is what your RGB controller looks like. I don't know if you can see it very well. This cable management is hideous, I know. But we're going to deal with it for now. Looks like one of them came loose. I remember that one having a problem. Plug that back in here. Goes in like that. Maybe.
Zoom around that quick.
I don't know why this isn't going in. Hold on. What the heck? We'll have to figure that out in a second. So we've got an open port here under this sticky thing here. Well, maybe not. Okay. So we're just going to plug this in right here. Should go on there nice and easy. I don't know why these aren't. Let me figure this out and we'll see in a second. Okay, so this is what your power header looks like on the fan side. Down there is what it looks like on the motherboard. This 4-pin slot right here, and it says system fan. And most motherboards will have some variation of system fan, case fan, anything like that. You want to plug it in so it lines up with the thing right there. So you can't do these wrong, really, unless you have like a 2-fan, a 2-pin header, which will not go on a 4-pin header. They changed the location of the hook, so you can't do that by accident. There you go. That's what it looks like plugged in, and I'll do a little better job up here, probably.